Hi, friends. It's Sarah May Bates. This is an episode I'm calling Growth Spiral Opportunity. Um, it's about basically changing your vision board list to include spirituality. And I say that with kind of a wink of irony, but only a little wink because I think what I've been just really recognizing lately in my own life is happiness is not at all born of all of the stuff or financial success. It's really deeply tied to feeling connected and feeling of value and bringing love and light to others. And it is, I think, something that when you really feel valuable, when you really feel proud of yourself, when you have a sense of fulfillment, it comes from continual growth and really reaching higher realms of understanding and creative capacity, creative expression. And so, in short, it comes from growth and love. And when we deliberately can walk toward those things and foster those things, we make them important and we protect them as values within our life's hierarchy, then we get more of those things in our life experience. So I wanted to put this into a podcast formally because I think a lot of the time we get lost in the hamster wheel of procuring all of the culturally reaffirmed and echoed stuff. And I think culture is very driven by commerce or just the speakerphone, so to speak. And I think a lot of that speakerphone has a very neck up focus. And by that, I mean very ego driven, very limited to thoughts and measurable things. And it's really easy to get tricked into chasing that same, what everybody else is chasing or what is projected to us, that glittering chalice, of what we see on social media or what we see in film. And it's really easy to get kind of numbed out in that loop of doing all the things that everybody else does. And if you are feeling a sense of emptiness or a sense of pointlessness or lack of fulfillment, I'm guessing that's probably why. So this episode is really for checking if you're on the right path toward deep growth, spiritual rewards, human connection. And in part, this is for working with the ego and growing by deliberately stepping back from it. Even though it is us, it's like it's this own sort of operating system within us. So when I think on a mass scale, we are kind of driven toward money and material things, we start to neglect our felt sense of love and connection to others. And I think when we are deeply moved or we're deeply inspired and we're flooded with love by an energetic connection to life and to the universe and to others, that is like the stuff of life. That's like the, oh my God, could I have this every day? Could I feel this every day? Yes, 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 you can. We have to really remember that that exists, though. And I think part of the reason that we forget it exists is because it's a hard thing to represent visually and it doesn't cost money. And it's not related to commerce. Therefore, it's not if you're not a person who practices a religion, there's not going to be a lot of exposure to it. And also, I would say religion is its own separate construct. So it's a separate entity that it doesn't, I'm not saying they're mutually exclusive. They're absolutely not. But I'm saying for a lot of people, the business side of religion has taken a more dominant role in their mind's eye when they think about spirituality. So, at least in the West, I'm speaking for a Western perspective right now. Back in the day, there was a reserved, a much more popular, I would say, reserved time and space built into culture to tune in to that connected felt experience that is generically what I'm calling like a profound connection to the universe, to God, to community, to something higher than ourselves. And that was very obviously an inherent part of happiness and feeling connected and grounded. And I think right now we're kind of being tricked by the dominant paradigm and a movement away from organized religion, or for a large group of people, a move away from organized religion. And we're kind of being, you know, there's this little like dangled just goal of commerce, financial success, capitalism, whatever else you want to put there. And I think therefore it is harder for people to remember. They have to, there's like a whole other very large part of life that is joy, that is the core of it, that is this connection to love, universal love. I'll just call it that. And one thing I'm addressing or working with in this episode is when we get overly identified with ego and unconsciousness, you could also label it the devil. It focuses, not if that triggers you, don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. Let's just call it ego. When we're in ego, we're really focused on winning by the rules of what we can prescribe to reality so we can control it. And therefore, I would call that like a very neck up view of the world. It becomes very goal oriented and very winning oriented and very measurement based. And it's all quantifiable things around us that we can measure. We're constantly this adding machine of, am I higher? Am I lower? We're constantly triangulating to other things. Where do I fall? How high am I on this scale? So the goal, if we're really stuck in the brain, we're still really stuck in ego, we'll be really fixated on money, success, an external thing, an external measurer, multiple measurers, a partner, a nice house, XY things that you can photograph and post on Instagram. And so if you find yourself in a state, an unconscious state of striving, where you're fixated on an external goalpost, and then you get to that goalpost and you find it doesn't fulfill you, like nothing has changed. By default, what the ego does is reset it to a new goal. And for, you know, in a narcissistic sense, we're kind of defeating a new foe. It's like we constantly need the other thing, the object, the foe that needs to be conquered for us to feel safe and not, it's like you're either God or you're not God. There's like this either or sense of the world. Phil Stutz, that's the book I recommended last episode. I'm going to put a link to it again in this episode. Really good book. True and False Magic, I think is the title. It's his new book. He calls it the biphasic fantasy. This I'm God or I'm nothing kind of, you're flipping between the two. So you're either pursuing a goal to conquer, to be God, or you're setting a new one. And so while it's easy to really think of that in terms of someone that's like narcissistic, I think it's also true for how we can get lost in a goal oriented frame of our life. And it's like we're either conquering that goal or we are, that's the only thing that matters. It's like we only fixate on like that destination. And then it's like we constantly have to reset it. Otherwise, we feel empty. Does that feel at all familiar? It's like if we're in a constant state of seeking out something status related or badge related, that is, it's kind of a waste of a life. It's kind of a waste of the majority of our enjoyment of life. So the alternate way to be is to foster your connection to God, universal energy, love, connection, something higher. Foster a connection to that always. So it's not about I'm going to reach this place and then I'm going to feel I won. It's more about how do I connect to this higher thing throughout the duration of my life and feel that energy, really feel connected to that energy. And so let's call it universal consciousness. I think of that as made up of love. Like it's a very pure spigot of like pure energy of love. And when we're connected to that, that's kind of like our fungal network. If you think about like trees and mycelium and how they all connect and help each other, that's like our version of that is just energy, this conscious energy. And if you are feeling in any way like you're in that loop of I'm going toward the goal and this is just a means to an end. This like life path I'm on, I'm just trying to get to that thing and then I'm going to try and get to this other thing. If that feels at all familiar, I wanted to invite you to think about how maybe that's only half of reality that can bring you joy. And the shift towards something deeper starts with A, awareness and curiosity, and B, intention. Intention to go deeper. Just an intention to open up, to widen up to something deeper. So, with that, there are three parts in this episode: the what, the why, and the how, the tools. Part one, the what, being in the personal growth channel. So, expanding your consciousness as you move through life, being conscious and active in the vision of an ideal, I don't know, evolved sense of the world that gives you a deeper capacity, and also operating at a higher level energetically. I think most important as we move through life is really just to validate the creative drive or the spark of energy that is within us. And it's already there. We just have to let it unfold. If it's within you, know that it's going to unfold organically. We just have to respect that fire and blow on it with our actions, with our intention, and know that if you can foster the energy, foster the passion, it you will get there. It's already going to happen organically. There's nothing that you have to like force. It's on its way. So if you're finding that in your own life there's a block in some area or there's something that you're feeling like you're hitting a wall, oftentimes it's because we can't see another truer part of ourselves that maybe it's not true for that part of ourselves. So, in other words, we have to be the plant in the cement crack. We're that little like, it's not going to stop growing, it's going to find the way and just continue to open that channel of energy wherever it's flowing. And I think the more we can do that in as many relentless little ways as possible, the more our life rewards us and grows us onto new planes. If you are a person who's feeling like stagnant and bored, or you're agitated and depressed, as a starting point, just look at what you are curious about. Like, what can you see? How can you lean into your humanity and vulnerability versus hiding it from view? Because we really need to have access to all of our humanity on an authentic level in order to have the feedback to know what direction to go in. So I'm just going to give you a description of a symptom that you might be having. You might have a loop of stagnation or emptiness, like you might go through a striving period and then feel empty, or you might feel like you're blocked from getting to a destination that is a concept of what you want your life to be like. But it's like a static visual of a life. Like you might be thinking, I'm doing all the right things. I have all the right stuff. I have all the right friends. I have the right title. I have the right blah, blah, blah. Why am I not happy? Why am I lonely? So if you have that feeling that something is missing, that you need something to fix you or fill that void, or you're spiritually starved, if you feel like you're bored by your routine, your environment, your consumption, I'm gonna say that you might be following a bunk map, you know? Like the stuff you're buying, the shows you're watching, the conversations you're having, maybe they aren't even scratching the surface of what you crave on a deep level. Or, it also shows up for a lot of people as like the intimate relationship. It promised the hope of so much. I wanted to have a fulfilled life, and it didn't give me that. I had the hope of it, I had the dream of it, but it was empty. If that at all sounds familiar, this is a big invitation. Part two, the why. Any void or wall or question mark in your life is just one big opportunity. It's like an overgrown path. You're like, what's over there? What is that? What's down there? It leads to a bigger world. And it's a path we haven't walked just yet, but it requires going inward. We need to go into the material. I like to call this clay. It's like we have clay that's in our back of our body, and then we pull it out and we bring it out front of us. It is, we go into the material no matter what it is. We embrace it, we accept it, we let it change us. We let it upset us, do whatever it is going to do, and we grow. That's how we grow. We realize something deeper, a deeper truth. I often tell clients when we're moving through a breakup together that it is one of the best opportunities for personal growth. It's like a growth spurt opportunity because it is a full reset button on reality. It's like everything is up in the air. You have so much access to the wide openness of possibility because you're in pain and because all that you thought was true is no longer true. So it's like sky's the limit from that point. All throughout life, we are given these opportunities to change and to grow, and that is how we get to a greater height in ourselves, in our depth as a person, as also for our capacity to feel joy. Your self gets wider and your heart gets wider. And when we can, in the face of an experience like that, in a moment of time where we're in a state of, I've lost everything, I don't know who I am, that kind of feeling, when we can go inward and come home to ourselves and honor a goal of self realization at all costs, then we grow, we level up in our lives to a new stage of awareness that we didn't realize was possible. It's like, I mean, it's such a amazing level up opportunity. So if you get stuck in a loop of trying to fill a void and you're looking for external stuff, I need youth, I need this person, I need this job, I need this amount of money. For a lot of people, that's the first place they look if they have a feeling of dissatisfaction. And what we're really in need of in that moment is that step back from an egoic, dominant, material, like binary solving. Am I higher? Am I lower? What will fix it? We're looking at the external stuff as a language for what needs to be solved. What we really need to do is step back and move inward and ask, what does my being need to grow? We need to do some work. And so if this state rings a bell, I want to broadly ask you, how can I foster balance and love? How can I open to this change? How can I look inward at what this change really means for me? Stopping to ask what you need spiritually is really what is going to happen. And how can, one way to start that process is connect with love and openness to others. And really take steps toward gestures of healing, like really letting go of the cure to life as an external thing and just asking, like, how can I foster an openness and friendship? What is the truth of what was being neglected in me? Because the ego's desire is to really create safety and default to that, to reset the loop of conquering for the external target. You know, what's the thing I need to defeat? That just immediately puts us back in that busying game of I'm occupied, I have a mission, I'm not vulnerable, nothing's wrong, I'm working towards something. However, if we get stuck in that loop, that the cost of that delay, if we put something off knowingly and we deliberately stay static, what we do is we increase our we reinforce to ourselves on a subconscious level that we are incapable. And what it does is it grows depression, it grows powerlessness. It makes us feel like I'm not worth saving. I'm not, see, my hands aren't saving me. I must not be worth saving. It's like a weird translation to our inner psyche. I am not worth moving out of the path of this thing. So, whatever situation you're in, what stage of your loop you're in, take one single small step today, no matter what it is, in the general direction of a deepening change. Just one single small step. Actions are what matter. With that, here is part three, the how, the tools. But first, a brief word from our sponsors. Okay, the tools. All right, the first tool I have for you is called a product in the future. This is like I'm playing with all my metaphors or my layers today. So the I had this thought and I totally believe it to be true. I have a belief that in the future there will be an actual product that is an energy sprinkle. I don't know how they will make it, but it'll be like an energy sprinkle that helps you remember your spirit. And by that I mean really getting back into the tuned in energy so we're like connected to the universal love consciousness, recognizing how that feels and what it is. So like I'm making it into a commercial product, but like if we had that little container, I'm like making it fish food. We had this little fish food container today of energy sprinkle. Let's imagine we're putting it on ourselves. So by that I mean like I want you to ask, who are you and what do you embody? Your soul is everything. To revive you, this sprinkle revives you with your truest hopes for the future, your deepest and truest hopes for the future, and how you want to feel when all the other shit goes away. I'm talking like I'm with all the people I love on my deathbed, that purity of energy. What does that feel like? What does that energy feel like today, right now in your body? How can I remember it? That's life. That part is life. How do we get back into that perspective? Oh, right. I don't need all this fucking shit. I don't need all these bags, whatever, whatever your thing is. Like get into that energy calibration. That is 99.9% of living a happy, happy life. It starts small though. It starts small. The sprinkle starts small. And it starts with like trying to like write a map for yourself in some ways. Like what are possible ways I can get back into that real, pure, divine soul energy? Is it just being able to connect to my body in a joyful manner? A lot of the maps I use are old routines that grounded me in prior post-trauma days. So like yoga for me is like a real positive trigger of somatic memory of groundedness and joy. Another thing I try and do is pick green beans. Like we have green big bean plants, and I'm like, this is something I feel tied to something greater. It's just a plant that we grew. I'm picking the vegetables. So that's the first tool. All right, next tool, behold the red herring. Uh, if you are in an old thought loop, I get so many still. I mean, you think, you think you do therapy once and it's done forever, but I mean, I'm not actually currently in therapy, but I do have recurring loops from past trauma days. And when they show up, most of the time I recognize them for what they are. Sometimes, however, I get tricked. And I have to go through that manual distancing process of saying, like, oh, wait, no, I recognize you. You're old. You're tricking me. You're making yourself feel like you're real and you're important and you mean it, but you're an old thought loop. So behold the red herring. If you have an old thought loop when your brain gets a sense of threat and panic and you're looking for the thing that will fix it, first recognize it for what it is. It's a trick, it's a ruse. It might be something like, oh my gosh, I'm broken. My thing is broken. My body's broken. My relationships are broken. My self is broken. How do I fix it? Oh no, oh no. I have to worry about all of these things. Notice it. Oh, nope. This is that panic. This is the powerlessness loop I used to have. And then ask, how do I bring it into my clay? How do I go into the feeling, embrace it, breathe through it as I hold it in my hands and I watch it, and really step back from it as I am an adult living a new moment in life right now. This thing is happening in my body. I work with it, I move through it, and this process, whatever it will be, is 100% new. That's the simple tool. I'm not going to solve it. I'm just going to tell you, like, bring it right out there. All right, next tool, coach yourself. This is a really weird specific tool. This is not self-denial. It is a voluntary maturation process, and it involves in areas that we feel are impossible to tolerate. For example, something that feels so painful that we cannot possibly survive it. Like, one example might be, oh, my ex loves someone more than me and now they're getting married. And they said they were never going to get married. That feels so intensely painful. It feels so insurmountable to accept that your ego is going to fight it like hell. It's going to say, like, nope, it's because XYZ and it's because of I'm my body, or it's because that girl, or whatever the thing is. Like, all of those things that in that moment, what we can do is see that opportunity as a growth spurt. It's a possible widening of self. And this is going to sound so counterintuitive. It's going to sound like, but I'm violating myself if I do this. I'm abusing myself by doing this. I'm just asking you to try it on for size. Ask yourself in that moment, can I survive this? And can I make space for this to be true? Can I make space for this thing to be okay and not be a judgment on me? And emotionally, your ego is going to be feeling like a kid, like, it's not okay and I'm not going to survive and I never want this, that's impossible, and like really wants to be in that fit stage. But if you just deliberately breathe into it and open yourself to the opposite reality being true, and can I make space for this thing to be true? Can I make space for this to be okay in my heart? A weird thing happens. You come around and you say, I can. I can. That's what I'm surmising will happen. But if this doesn't feel right for you, don't force it. All right. Next tool is a journal exercise. I got a couple of journal prompts for you. The first one, celebrate. One thing I have noticed about strivers in general, people who are proactive, motivated, doing self work, or driven by goals, high functioning, type A, all of the things, is we are by default really focused on what is lacking. And we kind of just fall into that pattern of this thing isn't there yet. This is where I need to be better. This is where I'm falling short. My X is too Y. I should be getting Z. I'm not really at ABC yet. So this tool is quite simply to ask yourself right now, maybe I'm kicking fucking ass. We are only able to see what we have done extremely well. We can only see where we are so highly successful and amazing in the wake of its loss. And I believe that to be true of your life right now. So what I want you to do is practice taking on that perspective of, oh my God, I'm fucking amazing. I just gave you a really full glass of water and I want you to journal from your grandma's perspective. Maybe everything in your amazing life is so grand. And okay, so the journal prompt is I want you to do self gratitudes and really just if you want to do it for the next week, every day, 5 things you are grateful for about yourself and your your values, all of the unsung stuff that you're doing to make someone's life better, all the stuff that's genuine and good, all of the stuff that you were really proud of yourself for doing. That's what I want to go on this list. If you can find those things. All right. The next tool, another journal prompt. This one's called True Monuments. One way to map back to our kind of pure happy energy is to think about the times that in our childhood stood out as the most profound and joyful. So the prompt is, what were your happiest, purest times when you were a kid? What were the moments that you would love to recreate? And they will be so simple and like probably based in play or a new experience, whatever they are, jot them down and just extrapolate from there. How can I focus on things like that in my day to day now? The next journal prompt is a just a check-in. I want you to, and maybe you don't have to write this in your journal, but the rule is to always be in integrity. And so the journal prompt is ask yourself, is there a part of me that is watered down by an area I am not being honest with myself? Like, what's a behavior that is not sitting right with me? And I like to do this pretty regularly because it helps me feel clean and clear. It's like clearing out the spigot. If there is something that's sticking to you, it's like it's basically altering your energy toward, I'm a little bit bad though. Like, this part of me is not so good. So anything you need to get out of there, fix it, get it out immediately so you can keep moving in a pure energy channel. So do a little scan. Is there a part of me that is not fully in integrity? It might also be something that is totally unconscious. Like, for example, you might want to rephrase the prompt. Where do I need to refine where I'm placing my energy and my time in my life? Like, I have a tendency to default in unconsciousness to being that show pony of like, I'm doing all the things, I'm doing all the boxes so freaking well. And that is such a time suck. And it's not really truly where I want to invest my life. It's an ego loop. So I just want you to check in periodically and make sure you're on the right track. All right. Next tool. I've given this in the past. I wanted to throw it in here because I think it's pretty cool. I tell it to people all the time. The prayer of Jabez. I've been saying Jabez. Someone who's Christian was like, "Do you mean Jabez?" And I'm like, "Probably." I read this in my friend Lori's book, which is Whispers from George, Whispers to George. I always forget the title. I will put a link in the show notes as well. But she's a Jew, but she really likes this prayer because so here's my opinion on prayers. I used to be freaked out by them. All things religious used to freak me out. This prayer, I think now or prayer in general, I think it's almost like stronger veins of energy when other people have used them and use them in general. It's like it opens up a larger channel. When the collective does something together, it creates a force. And therefore, if we use a prayer that is has a lot of resonance, it just channels that energy so purely. So I'm offering you this prayer because I think it's very, very powerful. I think it's Old Testament Christian prayer. I don't know. I don't know my stuff. But anyway, this is the way I have adapted the prayer. I offer it to you. I will tell you how I customize it and I give it to others. Um, oh Lord, bless me indeed, which this part of the prayer is like the kind of universe being trusting and acting in faith in the universe. So it's like really opening up that feeling of trust in your body that purifies your energy. Oh Lord, bless me indeed, expand my territory, support me, stay with me, keep me from evil so I might not cause pain to others. Amen. That's the prayer. And the all of the individual pieces of it, it's such a perfectly balanced prayer because it covers all the things. It covers I don't want to miss act. I want to act in grace. I don't want to have something hurt me or come ironically back at me for having this prayer. So it's like, keep me clear. And then it's also make sure I don't hurt anybody. I really want to be act in full resonance with good. So the way I offer this to other people to amend it is, oh Lord, or universe, whatever word you want to use, bless me indeed in my relationship, in my health, whatever it is. Expand my territory in knowledge, in balance, in metabolism, whatever the thing, like customize it to exactly the thing you want to say, and see what happens. It's fucking bonkers, this prayer. All right, the next tool, have the right visions. The energy that you create in your mind, in your body, in your being is the creates the channel, creates the path toward the change. So when you are acting as a role that you are not in yet, for example, that is what creates the path to it, is your energy fully embodying that place in life. I've witnessed this with other people because you can see it in their behavior. It's like you'll recognize it as somebody, like, oh wow, they're acting like a president of something. I don't know. Like you could just see it, you can witness it. The energy is the channel itself. So if you start acting as the thing you want to be before it's yours, it will become absolutely expedited for you to just become it. And so if there is a place you want to be mentally, if there's a place you want to reach spiritually, visualize it and embody it fully in yourself. And that is like how we get to it. It is not in the, oh no, oh no, why am I not there? That you're looking at your feet instead of looking at where you want to be. We create the motion toward the thing. Similar tool, the next tool, go to the space, be in the space. This was inspired by a client I had a long while back. When you are, let's say, trying to reach a goal and you want to, let's say it's a job or let's say it's a location, one way to really actualize and formalize that energy is to literally go to the place that is where you want to be and just be in the space. Imagine that space being where you belong. Walk around the place, visualize yourself being there and loving it there. Really feel at home there, feel like you belong there. So like let's say you really wanted a job at a specific place. Go there and just in your off hours, just be there, be comfortable there, see yourself walking in there every day, visually rehearse it. Whatever the goal is, do that exact thing. Your mind does not know the difference. Just be there. The energy channel is more created that way. Um, okay. The next tool, the creation path forger by the power of Grayskull. Um, you in this moment in time, your originality, your state of being, um, you are creating whatever your eventual contribution to this world will be in just your purity of energy. And I want you to picture the goal for you as being coming from full integrity as that self. Like the most profound growth in the universe comes from people who are creatively original and expanding us, not from the ones who are doing all the same things really, really, really well. It's like we want to get to that higher new place always. So, for whatever that's worth, from me to you, as a creative person to a creative person, please foster what is that original, weird, wonderful self. Really have a genuine appreciation and love for that and feel invested in your passions, feel valid in your passions, because that is like, those are the people who are legendary, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions. All right, the next tool, know thy skin or sensitive gems. The more sensitive you are, the more raw you are to the world, the more you will need to factor that into the way you move through your life. And I think a lot of us take all of that information and we think, I'm shitty because of that. It has nothing to do with good or bad. Like we all have these little human pods that we move through, our little like souls float around in. And we need to learn that pods tendencies and needs and cater to them and support them and not be like, fuck you. So, whatever type of sensibilities you have as an individual, you might need a specific kind of balance, a specific kind of protection, perhaps because you are a creative person. Like, for example, I know a person who is very creative, but they're very driven by money. And then I have another creative person in my life who is very driven by desire for excellence and inspiration. And the money one is really aggressive and therefore more bold and more immune to anybody injuring them because the motives are different. And the other one is very raw and vulnerable because they have such a high bar and they're very easily injured. And so, what do you do with this information? I just want you to be aware of your own self so you're not judging yourself for not being the other person. It's not something to hate, it's something to respect and protect so you don't get hurt and it doesn't hurt your self image. Some people just need a lot less work. They need a lot less stress in order to be able to like sing their song. All right, the next tool, the self affliction. When we get into that dark hole of ego or rumination, everything gets really reduced and therefore dire. And so, if you feel like you are drowning in negative rumination around self, the cure often is to get into a channel of creativity. So, see that negative state as your clay, work with it no matter what it is, and know that it is raw material for new growth. Like I often think of the tale of Narcissus because he fell in love with his reflection and he died pining at the water. And if you are in that position, if you are pining at a reflection, you're blinded by this obsession with self. What do I mean? Know that it's a sign you need to get wider. We need to get a new chemical perspective. And in order to do that, we have to get into another part of our brain, where we're painting, drawing, doodling, free word association, whatever it is. Creativity is the most active way to heal from a feeling of blindness, fear, anxiety, stagnation. So if it's an issue that's nagging at you, or an old thought loop, or what you're just getting too in ego and too in self, move into a creative practice of any kind. And that can just help you stop the loop. It's like it gives you a new avenue for energy to move through you. All right. The next tool, this is the majority of life. I wanted to invite you to calibrate your energy toward how others feel in small European countries, for lack of a better descriptor, but really like remembering a small town romantic life as like a valid, realistic way to live life. I think in like a big commercial, big city capitalist society, we get lost in that trap of striving. And we forget that this is all made up. And it's all made up on the terms of capitalism and stuff. So, net net, these days, these in between days, in between the success milestones, in between the vacations, and whatever the thing is you're trying to work toward, these little days are the stuff of life. So don't fall for the trap. It leads to a dead end. You get the thing, and then you're like, oh, I don't need this thing. It's a trap. It's a ruse. Just get back into the real felt experience of joy as a natural right in your day-to-day life. The being on the warm pavement with your dog that you love, all that kind of stuff. That is the stuff of life. Okay. The next tool, I really like this one. No such word as no. This is a tool that's really focused on what does it mean to be a radio signal? We are in a let me back up a bit. I had a conversation with a dog psychic because I was trying to figure out why my dog was biting people. And the dog psychic reminded me, like in telepathy, dogs read auras, and animals and children read auras. And what they see is a heightened aura, and what they see in telepathic communication is an image. There's no such word as no in an image. And I want you to think about yourself as an energy signal in your own right. Like what is your channel of energy? What fine tunes it? What invites it? What opens it? And really thinking in terms of positive and affirmative, not in terms of no. There is no such signal as no. The only thing we are signaling is in our own mind's eye is something negative. So let's say, for example, I don't want to be overweight. I don't know. I don't want to be lonely. And we're fixating on that. All we're telling ourselves in our energetic signal is lonely. I'm lonely. I'm lonely. I'm lonely. Be lonely. That's what we are actually communicating on a very pure energetic level. So remember, there is no such thing as no in energy. We're really just fixating on negatives. So always think in terms of what you want. What is the thing I want to connect to others? What is the thing I want to telegraph to others? What is the thing I want to connect to out there on the plane? That is the best path toward that thing and really purifying that message. That was a super hippie tool. And all right, I have too many tools in this one. I'm just going to add one more. All the selves. Know that we have so many possible eventual futures, and just don't let fear or cultural pressure keep you small. Like this path, there are bajillions of other alternate paths that you can jump onto at any given time. There are constant parallels that exist for you. You could jump into a totally different life at any age. There is no such thing as it's over. I remember that there was a girl in my college who came back to visit and speak to my college, and she was an advertising major and she did all the classical training that I did. And when she I think she had an internship or she went on a trip I think it was Nigeria. She helped on a project to like make posters for people to vote for people who were not able to read. And the feeling of satisfaction and efficacy that it gave her was so empowering and so intoxicating that she was hooked on that. It changed her whole life path. She then moved there and continued to do that because it made such a powerful difference. And I remember I was so inspired. I remember thinking like, will I do that? Should I move there too? I At that time in my life, I think I thought I was going to be a children's book author. Before that, I thought I was going to be like a fine artist and go to Cal Arts, which was like a really experimental school. I turned out to be much more stability motivated. My point is, We have so many possible selves. We have so many possible eventual futures. And you get to choose what it is at any life stage. There will be very dramatic forks in your road. So don't mistake yourself for being static or unchangeable. Be alive, feel into that energy. How can you tap into it? So those are all the tools. I hope this was a helpful episode. I hope I didn't freak you out. If I did freak you out, ignore what freaked you out and take what helps and leave the rest. I remember being in a stage of therapy where I was like, "Are you a religious person? If so, I am not going to listen to anything you said." It was like all it did was keep me small and kind of trapped. But I know that feeling of like mistrust. If a lot of people have failed you in your life, it's a very sensitive area to not trust somebody. So I mean it. If something I said freaked you out, take the other stuff that felt valid and true for you. Don't throw everything out just because of that. So, in closing, thank you to everybody who sponsors the show. It's so helpful. And anybody out there who has the means, donations really help out the show. And thank you for those of you who have left reviews. I really, really appreciate that. It really helps the show grow. And if you haven't left a review, if you could leave one, I would appreciate it always. And that with that, in closing, how you act really expands your life. So be conscious and deliberate in growing yourself and be focused on taking any friction in your life as an opportunity. So that is how we expand ourselves on so many levels. The majority of life is in all of these in between moments. And I think we often are coming from a place of ego and following everybody else's path, but never forget that one single experience can bring you back to an awareness of that world, that reality, the expansiveness that we innately knew of as kids. So if we can revisit a memory of what is true, and really get lost in that feeling of joy and simple, abundant play. Like that's free to us to access at all times, but we just have to create opportunities to have that on a daily basis. My goal is always to connect to the right version of my consciousness so I can advance. And that's my goal for you as well, is that we could all advance collectively. I do that for myself. I do that for my family, for my kids. I do that for you. I want all of us to have this ability to embody our own creativity, our innate creativity, and our own sense of that channel, that spigot, that pure access to love. And so, for that reason, I wanted to end with an energy tune up. So, I want you to just tune into your body like we're playing characters on a stage. We have a part to play, and your part is to play a person who feels a sense of hope and optimism and full vibration of joy. So let's practice that being in our body. Optimism, anticipation of love and connection and joy. And now I want you to say, maybe my day will be amazing and wonderful. Maybe my day will be amazing and wonderful. I send you my love and don't forget to smile.